Welcome to the AUA News Inside Tract podcast. Today's Inside Tract podcast is part of the Voices series, which is brought to you by the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Here we'll be joined in conversation with committee members, AUA members, and urologists from around the world to discuss how to build a strong, vibrant, and diverse urological community.
Thank you for listening to Voices. I'm Dr. Lourdes Guerrios, urologic surgeon at the VA Caribbean Healthcare System, and assistant professor in the University of Puerto Rico School of Medicine. And I'm happy to join today and host a discussion of the increasing visibility of Latinas in the urologic field, as well how important it is to take care of ourselves. So I will join today with Diana Londoño, who did her medical training in UCLA, later did her residency in Kaiser Permanente, and works as a urologic surgeon in City of Hope. And besides that, she is founder of the Physician Life Coach, which is a free support for physicians who may feel the burden of the strains of the professor. So Diana, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much, Lourdes. This is such an honor to be here. I'm so humbled. I was asked to just hopefully share my voice and just share some insights and just really have a beautiful conversation about such important things that need to be discussed, need to be amplified, and really shed a light on it. And, really thank you for your leadership. I'm just so honored and I'm so inspired by you. And I just really wish you continued success because your voice is so needed as well.
Yes, thank you, Diana. It's, the last week was Latina Day, and women are a growing demographic in urologic care. So I believe that AUA workforce practice of 2022, Hispanics constitute only 4% of while females, we are just keeping growing. We are right now are 11.6% of the workforce. So it's much higher than the 10% of 2020 and even the 8% that it was just a few years ago in the 2019. So, it's in how important it's that we have to be part of this growing demographic, and how important it is to take care of ourselves. And that's what I thought that you are the perfect individual to give us the perspective.
Well, first of all, thank you for letting me know that the statistics have changed, and now we're rising above 10% as women urologists, which is fantastic. And the other statistic is Latina urologists are 0.5% of all urologists. So that's also a very, very important number, because actually Black urologists, female, is 0.6%. So we're even below that, which is quite astonishing to me. And what's so important is that, I don't see it as being a minority. I don't see it as being, I feel like it's so important. Like this is our superpower. It really is. To show up authentically how we are without ever having to dim our light or feel like, oh, we're like the less than, or there's not enough of us. I mean, there's enough of all of us. When we shine our light, when we are authentic to who we are and what is our, heritage and our background and how we interact with the day and the life, that's what brings value to everybody, because we all benefit from that different viewpoint. The different way that we interact with patients, that we may go throughout the day and maybe we're like dancing or we're doing something different, but it's authentic to us. And when we change that, we try to fit in that mold, again, no matter if we're women or urologists or whatever it is in life, that really doesn't benefit anybody. So, whether we're talking about being Latina urologists or we're talking about anything in life, in any capacity that you're in, I think the message is, be you. That's what's wonderful, is to just be uniquely you, shine your light, and don't feel like you have to dim it or change it or morph it or please others, because you're really going to, at the end of the day, not take care of yourself. You're going to have a split from your true essence and your soul, and that's going to lead to depression and anxiety and just feeling like your soul is breaking, which is not a good feeling. And already, as it is, apart from all that, we know that physician burnout is real. We know that more than 60% of many specialists are in burnout. We know the rates of anxiety, depression, 25%. And we also know that more than 400 per year, every year, and that's likely underestimated, die by suicide. And that is tragic. That is tragic because we are at a point where, sadly, this is really sad. Like, we'd rather choose to die by suicide than take care of ourselves, to say, I need help, to say, I need to step back, I need a sabbatical, I need a week off, I need one day to sleep. It is so bad that is a choice for people, our colleagues. I mean, this is unimaginable. So, we have all the other parts of it where we maybe suppress our own authenticity. And then we have the part that the system is not built to help us thrive, to be compassionate, yes, to patients, but what about us? What about the healers? What about the team? So when we are working in silos and not as a team and not, taking care of each other and knowing we're interconnected, even though we're individual, that is a problem. And so I think this is really important, these conversations, because they matter. Lives are at stake.
And especially urologists are like the rate of burnout in urologists, even females or men, it's very high. So definitely it's important to have this conversation and to try to provide the tools to the new generation. And taking in account that the 2024 urology residency match, women are 45% of the future 2029 urology class. So that's like, there is an evidence that we are growing. So what do you be the recommendations in regards to wellness and mindfulness to this new generation of female urologists?
Well, I think they're already ahead of the game. And, this other generation, older, kind of gets rattled by the fact that they actually have a skill that we don't, which is boundaries, and which is to say no. This is so important for anybody, but especially for women, because we were socialized to say, be the good girl, say yes to everything. You got to say yes. You got to be nice. And that's absolutely false. And especially as a Latina, we got to please everybody, take care of everybody. We have a role, and that's just crazy. And to learn to say no, that is the most important skill you can have. Because if you don't learn to say no or no thank you, you're going to get overwhelmed, just pulled in so many directions and tired and drained and fatigued. And you will not have that time to do things that nourish you, like your mind or body or soul, whatever it is, because you say yes to everything, because you are afraid to say no. And no is not a dirty word. No is essential. Pivoting is also essential. So we get so stuck, like it has to be this way, and we just have to dig through it, because that was sort of taught to us that we just push through the pain and keep going and never sort of look up and say there's a different way, and have that flexibility and have that there's a different way. And some of that comes from medicine is an egotistical place that we are experts. We know everything. There's no other way. But when we come to medicine, when we come to our life as a curious person, as asking why? Is that really true? Then we can start shifting these mindsets, and we can start really taking care of ourselves when we get curious, when we lead with love, and when we learn to say no. So saying no, it's absolutely crucial. And again, that new generation, I think, is much better at that, and it's so hopeful, and it's a breath of fresh air that they're doing that, and they're changing the system.
I agree completely with you, Diana. Our generation, my generation, wouldn't say no to anything, and even to place our opinion, it's also considered she's too strong, or we have this stereotype, which is completely wrong. So I think that it's very important to be true to ourselves, as you mentioned. But also to be true to ourselves, we are increase our visibility, and it's a win-win to us and for our patients. So what do you think is the importance to the representation of us in the urological field, if there is any importance of being diverse in this community, in our community? I think it's true, but
I
just
think diversity is essential in anything. It doesn't matter about just, Latinos or Blacks or Asian. I mean, everything. Look at nature. Nature is diverse. There's not just one type of tree outside. There's like billions. And look at the ocean and look at the diversity. With that diversity, which again, nature teaches us, there is no life. Like you can't just have one thing. It's not going to survive. So if you just have one type of whale and there's nothing else, well, what are they gonna eat? So everything has a purpose, and diversity is really important. And it is important for our survival. It's important for our growth, because when we see a different viewpoint, when we see different things, it changes us. It makes us grow. That's why traveling is so important, because when you learn a different culture, when you see things a different way, again, you get out of this rigid mindset, this really fixed mindset, and you go into a growth mindset by looking at different ideas, different ways people do it. And the magic about that too is when you start doing more of that, exploring different cultures, if you travel or at your workplace, you actually realize we're all the same. We're so similar. And we have these basic core needs of being seen, being valued, being listened to, and like wanting connection. I mean, that's a basic core value we all have. So it's sort of like a duality, like we're so different, but we're the same. And again, if you don't step into that place, you're not going to see that. And we lead with fear and separation, like we're different. Oh, no. And that fear separates and it's a little repelling. But when you lead with curiosity and love, that brings people together. You like, if you're with a patient and you say, oh, tell me more, you're curious, that's going to bring that person together. That's going to open those mirror neurons, and it's going to start a beautiful dance in a way of communication, which again is so important to learn that skill of communication, learn how to ask questions, how we ask them, what's the energy behind it, what's the body language behind it. Are we looking at people in the eyes when we speak to them? I mean, there's so much to that again, very important skill that we need to also master. And yes, we can know all the urology, we could be the best researchers, we could be excellent surgeons. But if you don't have those soul people skills, if you don't know how to be present for a patient, then I don't think we're truly going to be healing anything. We're going to be taking out tumors. We're going to be checking out boxes that were amazing. Great. But like, are we truly healing people when we miss that human component? And that's really, really important.
Yes, I agree. Actually, that is one of the most important aspects of our profession. We have to be humans with our patients, and we have to be humans with ourselves. Mm-hmm. So, and I think this type of discussion is very important because these conversations, these sometimes difficult conversations, allow us to grow. So sometimes this type of opportunities allow us to visualize ourselves. And I think there is the mentorship. It's very important. So what do you think has been the importance of a mentorship in your career? I will say that I have been seeing other women in the field, and it's like a role model to follow. So how do you think, how you're like thinking, what is the impact in the mentorship in your career, Diana?
Yeah, this is so critical because, again, we kind of go back to where are we at as a society? And I think we're in a scarcity mindset where there's that competition, especially between women. There's a lot of competition. There's like, I'm not enough. Like, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to amplify you. Sort of when you went back to tell me about when we are afraid to use your voice. Well, guess what? When we're in a room and there's another woman or man, but especially women, we got to amplify that voice. We got to support that voice. We got to say, yes, exactly what Lourdes said. I agree. We amplify, we help, we support, whether it's social media or in real life or anything. How are we showing up for each other as women? Are we knocking each other down? Are we not supporting? Or are we freely saying like, oh my God, this is amazing. She's doing this program. She's doing this coaching. She's doing whatever she's doing. Let me bring this up in my social media to amplify this colleague. Let me help them in this meeting. Let me support them when they're having that hard day and they see that somebody wasn't kind to them? How are we showing up for each other? And yeah, it may be in the same specialty and field, yeah, but there's also the grander view of how we're doing that to each other every single day. And we all have a choice to be in jealousy and scarcity and competition, or be supportive of each other, amplify each other, help each other and grow with each other. So we have a choice, and we have to kind of sit with that and think about how we want to be, and then decide, because there's one way to do it and there's a better way. And I think the better way is truly being, again, in this abundance mindset of helping each other and realizing, we should be there for each other. And that's really critical. So yes, it could be within our own specialty. I hope that continues. But I also have to be honest and say that not always has that been the case. And I have seen more support from our male colleagues. Those have been the ones that have lifted us and held our hand and pushed us and opened doors. It hasn't truly been the women. But I'm hopeful that this is going to change, that we're going to see the light and realize we got to be doing that for each other. So I am so grateful for our colleagues who are male, because, again, they have been the ones that have been truly lifting us and carrying us as we grow, as we're past the 10%, as we're going forward, as more medical students and residents are becoming, female urologists. So I am grateful to their leadership, honestly, and to their heart that they have been doing that for us. So I'm grateful, I'm hopeful, and I think it can only get better.
Yes, I agree. Now is our responsibility to keep on giving that leadership forward, to give that mentorship to, and inspire future generations of female physicians from diverse backgrounds, and to visualize themselves in the field. I hope that this type of interventions and discussions continues bringing diversity in our field, but most of all, to visualize that we can do it. There is space for everyone. And I think that is the most important thing, as you mentioned, humanity, to be true to ourselves and be healthy to us, to be better physicians to our patients.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't give what you don't have, and you can't give from an empty cup. So I think we think oh yeah, I can still take care of people when you're totally burned out and anxious and overwhelmed. You can't heal people when you're in that state. You're just in stress and fight or flight. You can't. Your brain, the prefrontal cortex part of your brain, which computes and is trying to decide if I should give surgery or Myrbetriq or whatever you're going to do in your life as a urologist, you can't do a great job when you're in stress. And when you're in stress, chronic stress is burnout. And so that's where most of us are living. So it's essential, again, going back to saying no, it's essential to take time off. It's essential to take those vacations and not work all year without ever taking a vacation and thinking that that's a badge of honor. That is not a badge of honor. It's a badge of honor to show up every day as your best version that is rested, fed, happy, and joyful. That is the best version of you, not the tired, not the overwhelmed, not the cranky, not the one that's yelling at patients. That is not the best version. So we have to think about, what are we going to do to show up as our best version? And that's going to have to say no to a lot of things, and it's going to have to schedule time for our own needs and realize it's not dirty to take care of your own needs, physically, mentally, spiritual, whatever it is. That's essential. So we have to change that mindset. That's really important.
And that also will allow us to advance in our practices and leadership positions. And I think it's very important, because the AUA it's positioned that in a way that help us to be ourselves, be visualized in positions of leadership. So I'm truly humble to be part of this initiative, and I really appreciate, Diana, the time that you have shared with us. And especially, I thank you for all what you do supporting physicians, no matter the gender, because I think burnout wellness is not unique for females. It's actually is a whole word, and I think it's important to be mindful, to have a time to do wellness activities. And actually, we as Latinas, you mentioned initially, we have a lot of stress burdens in our families. We are responsible to about everything, and we must start to change our framework and to say no and have time to ourselves. So I think it's fantastic that we are talking about this important issue. So I really appreciate that you have joined us in this voice podcast, and I really hope that we have more discussions like this in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lourdes. And I want to just end with the fact that, these skills that we may not have yet, I mean, this is why, whether it's everybody needs a coach, and that's just something we have to get over, because we all need a coach, we all need a spiritual leader, we all need a friend, and we all need a therapist as well. So the fact that we deny that fact, is not helping anybody. We need that. And these ways of changing the mindset, they don't come natural. We didn't learn that skill. So that's why a coach is very helpful to get you from A to Z, or whatever your goal is. And it could be money, it could be relationship, it could be marriage, it could be spirituality. I mean, there's coaches for everything. There's life coaches. But, this is why I founded physiciancoachsupport.com. Again, this is for any physician that needs a peer support, that needs somebody, a lifeline that is confidential, that can go as free 7 days a week. We're there as physician colleagues, coaches, to help, to remove the burden, the stigma, and all this stuff, to say it's okay, we're there for you. We believe in hope and purpose and giving things back to our colleagues, because we've been there. We've walked those paths of burnout, and it's crispy, burny, painful. But we could also see that there's a different side, that we can be in joy, we can be calm, we can be peaceful. We can love what we do every day and not dread the car ride or getting out of the car to go to clinic. I mean, there's a different way to live and be. And so it takes courage, it takes love, self-love, to take that step. And I just hope that people take that step with courage and love, that they realize they matter, that they realize they're worthy. Okay, they really are worthy. And they take that step. And again, we continue these conversations. So thank you, Lourdes. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for AUA for bringing this to the forefront and really committing to making this, just really a better place for all of us, not just the women, but like all of us together as a whole.
I agree, Diana. So thank you so much for joining us in this episode. So I really have enjoyed this evening talking with you.
Thank you so much.
This has been Voices, an AUA News Inside Track podcast, and is brought to you by the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. For more information about the AUA's diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, visit auanet.org/diversity.